Today what we're going to look at is our foot and ankle, and we're going to specifically target plantar fascia issues, which as we move into spring in March is a problem that comes up a lot because people change their footwear. As the weather gets warmer, they start wearing sandals, flip-flops, barefoot a lot more, and it flags up a lot more of the issues. So where is the plantar fascia? It actually attaches from the base of your heel and comes through and works and attaches across the whole sort of spectrum of the forefoot area. So the idea of it is to help control your foot. So it requires good foot biomechanics to be able to work effectively. If we look here with Rihanna, if I pull her foot up, we can see that tightens that plantar fascia area underneath the foot. So the whole mechanism is, as you heel strike, you roll across the plantar fascia as you push off. Stabilizes all the small bones in your foot to stop your foot from rolling. Okay, so that's its job. As you push off through your toe, it's tight, you have a nice stable foot for your ankle to work off. If your biomechanics change, or you're wearing sandals or flip-flops and your foot rolls excessively, so your foot is supposed to roll in as you're walking, but if it rolls excessively in, it means you can't push off through your toe. So you tend to spin. So a good giveaway that you might be prone to this is that you get hardening of skin, callus formation underneath your second toe. So what happens is, as you're walking, you spin your heel because your first toe is blocked because you've collapsed excessively. That stresses and stretches that plantar fascia, and that excessive load, that change in the load, is what creates the pain. And the ache that you tend to get is through the whole sole of the foot. You'll tend to find it will be sore first thing in the morning when you get up and you start walking on it, it'll feel stiff. If it's a relatively minor thing, it will start to settle down as you walk a bit more and you'll feel comfortable. As the day wears on and you load it, it'll start to build up again. And you will find most people will have, just off the heel, they'll have a point of pain which can be quite sharp and quite tender if you start pressing in around that. So really good sign to sort of look for in this. Have you got a point of pain, an ache through the whole sort of arch, generally more on the medial side? Are you getting pain in the morning that eases as you walk a bit, but then comes back towards the end of the day, or if you're standing or walking for excessive periods, particularly if you haven't got trainers on, if you're barefoot or you've moved into sandals? So that's what you're looking for. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few exercises and a couple of tips for you so that you can help manage those symptoms if they come out. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple of things you can do to help settle down and manage your pain. Please remember, plantar fascia is generally related to biomechanics and changes in load. So if you've increased your running, or if you've changed your footwear, that can lead to it. It isn't something that just settles down in 2 weeks. It will need some management. So this is going to help you start that process, but you may find that you need to go and see a physio to make sure that you continue that process through to get the best results. Okay, so I've got here a hockey ball, which is fantastic to use. You can use a small water bottle, the round ones, pop it in your freezer, and that's quite nice, so that's cooling as well as rolling. And I've got a foot ease, which is a rolling device we use for the foot. So what you need to do, first thing in the morning, before you get up and start walking around, have your hockey ball or your tennis ball or whatever you're going to use just underneath your foot in sitting, and just get a bit of pressure, find those tender spots, hold the pressure on, let it release, and then roll again, and work through the foot to release that tension in the plantar fascia. Okay, it's been loaded, it will feel the world better when you do this. Okay, otherwise we can use the foot roller, and again we get the same effect. So releasing that way will really help with what you're doing. Now, one of the driving forces behind this, and we've got loads of videos that talk about calf stretching and flexibility testing, so you can have a look at those. What we have is the calf is potentially going to be tight. So if we can release the calf, that will also help. So if I get Rihanna to come down onto the floor, and we can use the same devices, and then we're just going to pop this underneath there. Okay, and then you use your foot and your hands to support your body weight and roll through the calf. Again, stop if you find a tender spot. When you hold there, let it release, the muscle will just slowly release, the pain will calm down, and then off you go again. That's it, wonderful. So nice and simple, little bit of release work that will really help with your symptoms. Ice underneath the plantar fascia area will help. As I said, use a water bottle that's you put in the freezer will be really nice to help alleviate things. Do it first thing in the morning. Try and do it a couple of times during the day. If you can release that pressure, it will make a big difference to your symptoms, and that's the key. Okay, so we've gone through what causes plantar fascia stuff. We've given you some release work to help with your pain. I'm going to look at one exercise that you can do to start to strengthen up the muscles. You might be able to start this straight away, but once the pain settles down, this might be a really good place to start to go. So Rihanna actually suffers from a bit of plantar fascia problem. So she's got a really good example of what can go on in the foot. So you can use a mirror at home or use somebody else to see what you're doing. So if you just come into a small knee bend, that's it, and then I'm going to get you to come up onto both toes together. And we can see now when we're in this position, we've loaded the plantar fascia and we've brought that arch up into the right point, which is exactly where we want it. Now what happens with Rihanna, as we lower down, keeping the knees bent, you should be able to see that her heels pull in and her arch collapses on both sides. So that's where she's stressing and loading this plantar fascia. So what I'm going to get her to do is to come up to the top again, okay, and we're going to hold there, and I'm going to get her to work in the range she can control. So we're going to hold that for 10 there, then we're slowly going to lower down, stop, and we're going to hold there. Now I would put something, a book or something underneath the heels so you know where you go to before your arch collapse, and we're going to get her to hold that for 5. And then we're going to come back up to the top and hold, and we're going to count to 5 again. And we're going to start double leg and eventually move to single leg. But what you're going to do is, as you get stronger, you'll come down a little lower, hold there, until you can control it all the way down to touching the ground. Now, that is a really good way to strengthen it, but you do have to do it well, because if you are rolling, all you're doing is retraining the problem. Okay? So I hope that helps with a little bit of strengthening up, but as I said, settle the pain down first.